Meet your new go-to for a fresh and inclusive approach to health.
Wellness Rebranded is the pod where a dietitian, a personal trainer, and a mental health therapist combine perspectives to help you redesign your relationship with food, fitness, and your feelings.
Whether we're serving up juicy stories, breaking down the latest research, or dropping practical tips, we'll leave you informed, inspired, and ready to take health-promoting action.
We get you because we are you.
We've joined forces because we know that health isn't one-dimensional, and neither are you.
Tune in for real talk that cuts through the wellness and diet culture hype. Stay for the laughs, the insights, and the feel-good vibes. Hey there, Wellness Rebranded listeners. It is Elizabeth, and we are apparently chatting about a controversial topic today, although it didn't start out that way. We are diving into the idea of unplugging from holiday hustle culture. And one of our lovely co-hosts has a very interesting thought on one aspect of holiday hustle culture. But Tara, what does holiday hustle culture mean to you?
Okay, so to me, holiday hustle culture is all of the things that we're like supposed to do during the holidays. The shoulds, right? We're like, oh, we have to go sit on Santa's lap, and we have to go to the Polar Express train, and we have to go to the Christmas pageant from school, and we have to do all the baking, and we need a cookie making day, and we need this special food for whatever, which is all beautiful and it's all part of the season, right? But I think for many of us, moms especially, get really overwhelmed.
Yeah, because specifically, it's not just to do those things, it's the pressure to do all of those things and to feel as though you're and which can lead to you feeling as though you're coming up short, right? Or you're somehow inadequate or failing or not a good mom or not a good wife or not, like a whole appropriate elf of the holiday season if you don't do them all.
Yeah, I totally feel like this. Like I talk to my clients about this all the time, and everybody is stressed about like that elf on the shelf and doing all the things. And some of my clients are just like opting out. Like we're not doing that. And then they feel this pressure of like, but am I depriving my kids of, the fun of finding this stuffed animal moved around my house every morning? Um like like what? The pressure we put on ourselves, and I think social media has a lot to do with this, right? Because we see like super mom over there that's like creating a whole scene for her elf on the shelf, and the rest of us are just barely tolerating it, right? So I think there's a lot to it.
I'm forever grateful that my kids did have Elf on the Shelf, but like later. And also, it was when all you actually had to do was move it around. There was no like creating these elaborate scenes. And to be perfectly honest, I could never remember to hide that thing. And thank goodness they wrote that clause in the book about like it lost its magic if you touched it. Then it just turned into a lot of finger pointing in my house. Like, oh, the elf didn't move this morning. Who touched it?
So I'm actually doing the elf for the first time this year. And I've like vowed this year to keep it like super simple. Like there will be no scenes. It's just gonna move from like the couch to the chair to the kitchen table. Like it is not gonna be a whole thing. I say that now, but we'll see how it goes.
So, one element of holiday hustle culture, some might say, are Christmas cards or holiday cards. And one of our co-hosts has very strong opinion about this that I just can't wait for you to talk about.
Okay. So here's the thing. You all know I came to this country many years ago. So many of the a long time ago. I can still remember. Okay, so these are things that were new to me, and some made sense to me, some didn't. And some things of this culture I adapted for myself, and some I didn't. Holiday cards is one that I didn't, still do not understand, and never brought it, never was something that I did for my family. Um, I think it creates a lot of stress. You see people finding who's the photographer that is going to be available for these, important holiday cards. What are we putting there? What are the best pictures to show about our kids and how our life has been amazing the whole year? And then they don't have any handwritten stuff. It's usually just like happy holidays from the winters in my case, which I've never done a holiday card, never will. But and then you get this at home, you open it, oh, beautiful family, and then what am I supposed to do with it? Like, I, what am I? So, yes, so I don't know what to do with it. So I just, just leave them there.
Wait, you mean you don't create like a whole special spot in your house to display all these beautiful cards people have sent you?
Why would I?
Yeah,
With
that is the question,
like
isn't
what?
it?
Okay, what is the purpose? To celebrate all these people's lives that some I know better than others. I mean, that's what Instagram is for. I can see your holiday pictures. I don't know. So what is the purpose? Tell me the purpose.
You make a good case for it. I am not like I don't do holiday cards either, but I'm not like vehemently opposed to them. But you're making a good case for me to just be like, oh, now I don't even feel bad about it.
Okay, let's say that I make the altar, where however you want to call it, with all the holiday cards.
Ofrenda.
The ofrenda, okay? Let's say, okay. January comes, and what do you do with these beautiful cards that created so much stress for these people? Not for everyone, obviously, but then recycle bin, right? Or
Yeah.
you put them in a drawer
No.
for, I mean, for when you die. You want me to bring all these holiday cards to your celebration of life to say, oh,
Yeah.
Tara, during while he was alive, she got all these holiday cards? Like what?
So I used to be like that, right? Where like anybody who sent me a card, I would like save it and I'd put it in this cute little box. And then I was like, "Oh my gosh, what am I actually doing with all this stuff?" And I think that's probably when my journey to like minimalism started, where I'm like, "Nope, if it's not bringing me joy and if I'm not going to want somebody to have it when I'm dead, I'm not keeping it." So, I just throw all my holiday cards in the trash come January 1st, but I'm sure some people do.
Okay, so in defense of holiday cards, which I totally agree with much of what you're saying, but I do actually, one thing I love about them is going back and looking through my own family's holiday cards, because it's like a marker of the
Yeah.
years and their growth and their development and their changes. So that is cool to me. And Maria has something to say.
That is beautiful, Elizabeth. I love it. Keep them for yourself. Like, what I mean, take the holiday picture. It doesn't have to be a card that you're stressed out to have them be for a certain date and you have to print out. And I've heard people talking about hundreds of holiday cards that they're putting on the mail. Good for the mail is give them business. You're paying for all these stamps for those cards, but take the picture with your family, make an album over the years, Christmas or holidays over the years. Why do I have to? Why? Don't send it to me.
Okay, so actually, this turned into the perfect segue, although we really truly did not plan it that way, because a few years ago, I actually stopped sending holiday cards, or like a few years I didn't send them, and then maybe I did, and then I didn't again. And it was actually because it just all was getting to be too much. Not only the holiday cards, but also just all the other things of the season. And I really had to sit back and think, okay, I need to make this more enjoyable and more doable. And so, how can I do that? And ditching the holiday cards was one of the ways that I decided to do that, which leads us into, it turns out, the topic we wanted to talk about, which is unplugging from holiday hustle culture.
And here's one thought when you said that, I've heard people those years that they can't do it, then they feel guilty and bad that they did it last year and then they want the cards to look even better than the previous year. And let's say, God forbidden, that you went through divorce and then you don't want to send these holiday cards anymore because it's not, quotation marks, a family. So even the concept behind it is, what is it that we're sending these holiday cards to let everybody know how happy we went through a year. Because if I ever start sending these holiday cards, it's gonna be like pictures. I picture it like a picture of me crying in a corner where my kids are driving me crazy, or the picture of my husband and I going to couples therapy because we went through hard times. Then okay, here's my holiday card of the real me, and it wasn't all happy. People, I cried a lot, I laughed a lot, I celebrated things, I grieve others. Like, yeah, welcome to my year. Hopefully, you have a human year as well. And then, but the whole idea of here's happy us, and I don't know. There's that.
My mom always includes like a newsletter with the cards that's like, here's what everybody did this year. And like the last 2 years, the info included about me has been inaccurate. And I'm like, wait, what? So I'm like, instead of being like super authentic about it, like it feels almost like, well, here's our great year that we had, So it's not even true.
Tara went to cooking classes. And Tara's like, what? Now she's a great cook. Tara's like, what?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so that's one of the ways that I have unplugged from holiday hustle culture is like choosing specific things to literally decide not to do anymore and also to let go of any guilt around it. And interestingly, I was 100% at peace with my decision. My husband asked me many times, like, seriously, you're not going to do it? You're not going to do it? Finally, I'm like, you can do it. If it's that important to you, have at it. Like, I'm not stopping you from doing it, but I'm not taking it on this year. So how else, what other scenarios does like this come up, or what other suggestions do you, or how have you guys unplugged?
I think for me, something that I did adopt or I've fallen into, I guess, is the whole idea that, for example, the decoration of my house has to look beautiful, like you see it on social media or in a magazine. Like at the beginning, years ago, I wanted my house to, when you came in, look like, this holiday village of, I, um, slow down on that a little bit, like I have nice decorations and I want to make it homey, but it's in before inside it felt like a competition. Like you can fall into that trap of, oh, my house has to be the best, and I want when people come over see, oh my god, Maria, how great taste you have. No, guess what, I just don't care anymore. And or the whole thing that it has to be gifts for everyone, even people that maybe didn't even gifted me anything before. It was like this stress to be so I don't know, like I just lowered the expectations for myself, and that was a huge relief.
You know what ruined the decoration um thing for me is I would try to do this like beautiful decorations just like you said, and then having like all the hoodies and stuff thrown right over the garland on the stairs. Like what is even the point? Real life happens.
That's funny. Yeah. So essentially, what you're saying really is checking in with your values, right? Like what's actually most important to you. That's another way that I think I purposely kind of in a way carve out time at the beginning of the holiday season, because also it's different every year. Like I said, a couple of years I didn't send a holiday card and then I did again, and it just because I felt like I had more bandwidth for it that other year. But so for me it's like purposefully checking in at like around this time of year, frankly, of like, okay, what do I actually want it to look like this year?
Yeah, I feel like there's certain like non-negotiables for me. Like I need to have this, I want to have this. And then there's other things like my son's 4 and we've never done pictures with Santa. Like I just don't care, and he didn't even know, right? So like this year we'll probably go because he's old enough to have an opinion on it, but the other years it's like I'm not gonna take that on when I don't feel like it even matters.
Essentially, I think holiday hustle culture, it's like another version of diet culture, honestly. It's that pressure. It's the pressure to do all the things and to it creates stress and it creates guilt, and it's not in line necessarily with your values, and it's all about the shoulds and the shouldn'ts and the expectations and the supposed to and this like idealized version of having this magical perfect holiday, which I mean honestly guys, is there a better parallel to diet culture now that I think about it? And speaking of that, if you're looking to escape from diet culture and break free, check out my brand new intuitive eating starter guide. It's packed with resources. It's only $29, and I'm dropping the link in the show note. I'm so excited to get this into your guys' hands. You're going to love it.
Yeah, fits right in.
Or toxic positivity.
Yes.
It's a good season to fall into that. Everybody's happy. Everybody's having the dream family. When we know that's not true. It's not human to have it all pretty, really nice.
Yeah, I think the holidays can be like a really stressful time for a lot of people, a really sad time for a lot of people. So I think that pretending like everything's merry and bright all the time is just like kind of a stretch. Another like hustle culture thing that I've kind of unplugged from is I love baking. I really like making cookies and pies and all the things, right? But like I just don't have time for it anymore. I don't want to spend my whole day in the kitchen making like dozens of different types of cookies. So now I pick like my favorite two and I'll make them and call it good. It's not something I feel like I need to have this whole beautiful platter of cookies. Like, we're gonna have a tasty platter of two different kinds. You know, I'm just opting out of it.
So to recap, permission not to send out that holiday card, and surely don't send it to Maria. If you do choose to send one, you could save a stamp on that. But it sounds like kind of setting your intentions, checking in with your values, setting clear boundaries for yourself. Also, we didn't talk about it, but I would say like this is a time of year when I personally try to double down in some way on the mindfulness and the gratitude because it helps me stay grounded and away from the holiday hustle culture.
One hustly thing that maybe could be considered hustly culture that I add in actually is I'm really intentional about teaching my son how to like serve others. We do this year round, but in December especially, we like pick some small act of service to do every day until Christmas Eve. So it might be something really little like taking a, plate of cookies to one of our neighbors or doing like an actual service project or whatever. So that's something that I've kind of like opted into. And I think it's really like benefited the family for the best because like we'll talk about it throughout the year and like he'll like look for acts of service that we can like save for December. And sometimes we're like, let's just do it now. But it's good.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
Oh, thanks.
And that makes sense because I think it's also it could be a season that inspires you to help other people and to do good. Going back to what you were saying, Elizabeth, I love that to give any of you listening to this episode to give you permission to not follow the crowd on things that don't match with how you want to spend your month. If you see a whole crowd just walking through the street and everybody's doing the same thing, it is okay for you to step out of that and just stay behind or walk faster. Just move to another road and walk with the very few other five people that moved out of that. We don't have to to follow or fit into what everybody else is doing just because it's the thing to do or just because everyone else is doing it. So why am I not gonna do it as well? Just really pause and do things that align and resonate with you and let the others send their holiday cards.
Here's something like an example of that. I'm no stranger to like not following the crowd, but as many of you know, I hate winter and it's snowing today, so I was like devastated walking in here. But I'm a palm tree person. So when my son was little and he was touching all the ornaments all the time and knocking the Christmas tree over, I decided we were going to do a palm tree. So for the past 3 years, we've had a palm tree Christmas tree. And
In your house?
yeah, and all the ornaments like hang at the top like a little umbrella so that he can't reach them. Okay, I'll send you a picture. But I love it because it like fit my needs. I wasn't having to like guard the Christmas tree. And it speaks to the summer in my soul.
I also want to see the picture of your holiday palm tree. So I feel like this was a useful conversation, right?
Yeah.
Just Sometimes we just need those reminders to like pause and be intentional.
All right, guys, if part of your unplugging includes enjoyable movement, especially in a short amount of time, right? Like life is busy. Let's do the most effective thing. Come and do my fitness assessment, the ultimate health and fitness assessment with me. You can do this in person, you can do it virtually. This is open for you to do, and it'll kind of show you what you need to work on, where your strengths are and your weaknesses are, and then I'll give you like programming so that you can like take this into the new year with you and be ready to rock with your plan. So if that sounds interesting, I've got a link to register in the show notes, or you can reach out to me for more info.
And if you're local to the Annapolis area on December 14th, Saturday at 9 a.m., I'm going to host a wellness market, meaning that you can come and buy meaningful gifts related to wellness and mental health. There's going to be resources if, promoting and taking care of your mental health is a goal that you have during these holidays or next year. You can find resources there.
I actually would love to ask you guys, what is your intention for the holiday season? Mine is really to be present and grateful.
So I haven't thought about it at all, but one thing I love to do every year is like sit under the Christmas tree once everybody's in bed and just enjoy like the beauty of the lights and the season and remember like what I'm grateful for. And try to remind myself that like, I'm doing good. So that's something I try to do every year.
One intention for me, I think, is to recharge and quality time with my family. That time that fills your heart with good energy and love. That's going to be my intention. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Again, you have permission to design these holidays in a way that makes sense to you, even if it's going against what everybody else is doing or doing something different. You deserve to spend this time and carve it in a way that is healthy for you. And we will talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening. If you want to connect with me outside of this podcast, you can find me on Instagram at coaching_therapist.
I'm Elizabeth. You can find me at Elizabeth Harris Nutrition or in my Facebook group, Health and Healing with Intuitive Eating.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Tara De Leon Fitness. Guys, if you loved this episode or any of our other episodes, we would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It really, really helps us get the non-diet word out to the rest of the world. So please leave us a review.
Yes, thank you.